Hey there. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. I want to start differently. This is not the lesson, just kind of a brief announcement. Every year we like to do a spiritual survey, and some of you got to complete this last week. On the survey, there are some things in the back that you can check, like become a Christian, be baptized, Bible verse text, get a booklet on learning and pray. So I want to talk briefly about that. First of all, if you want to become a Christian, wonderful. We had 3 people check that box, and we'd love to follow up with you. But in the part where it says name, there's nothing there. So there was a decent amount of people who didn't put their name on the thing. So again, if there's something here that you want, let us know. Let your small group leader know. Talk with them. They can talk with me, or you can just talk with me. But we want to get you where you need to go. So we'd love to talk with you about how to become a Christian if you're not. Also, some of you checked baptism. One of those steps, once you become a Christian, is to get baptized. And we have cards about that. So we want to get you a card that talks about it and then follow up with you about that. The Bible verse text, if you want those, let me know. I need a cell number to send it out text. Just one of those things that kind of has to work. But if you want to learn about prayer, we do, like last week, we talked about prayer. We have booklets on prayer. We can put that into your hand. It's something that's going to be helpful, that'll take you through passages in the Bible to learn about prayer and actually praying. But on reading the Bible, we have a lot of different resources. If you're new in the faith, that I would say next steps, like, hey, what's next? I'm a Christian, but what's next is good for you. And then we have some booklets that are shorter, like about anger, 7 days on anger, learning about that, or life's biggest decisions, about God's will, or understanding your parents, or life hurt, God heals. Love to put that in your hand. If you want to go deeper or a little bit more extensive, we have a whole series called Firm Foundation. This one's on the basics about the Bible and Jesus. It'll take you through some passages, and really our big dog ones are on books of the Bible. This one is on the book of Philippians. So wherever you're at, I don't know exactly where you're at, talk with your small group leader, have a conversation. We want to get you into the Bible. We want to help you develop habits to do that regularly, to connect with Jesus regularly. So we're here to help. Let us know how we can help, and we want to follow up. So grab stuff tonight or next week or whenever it is, and let us know how we can encourage you to follow Jesus better. Thanks. I'm going to show you one of the best gifts that I've ever received. You ready? Boom! There it is. Yeah, it is a can opener. Now you might think I'm joking. You think, oh, that's not really a great gift. But it was. It is. Still is. Great gift. One of the greatest gifts that I've received. What happened at our house, for years, we just kept buying these junk can openers. I don't know if you've ever used junk can openers, but you use them like once and then they're junk. But you try to open it and you just crank and you're like, it won't work. Whoa, it was so frustrating to me. The stinking can opener's not working. Enter my wife. She came in clutch. She did a bunch of research on can openers and ones that would actually last. So back in the 1980s, apparently someone somewhere made a good can opener. Yeah. And so she researched, bought it, boom. And it wasn't even my birthday. She hooked me up. Yeah, it was big time. One of the best gifts I've ever received because it lasts and ends the frustration. Unfortunately, not everything lasts. I bought Caden a sweatshirt, and I thought, oh, this is good. It was a good price, direct from China. For some reason, I thought it was a good deal. We got it, and it barely survived one washing. Yeah, it was legit like that. We like things that last. We don't like to waste our time. We don't like to waste our money on things that don't last. If only there was a way to use our time and money on things that will last forever. That would be an incredible investment. Well, Jesus is going to talk with us today about that in our lesson. So we're in Matthew chapter 6. We're going to start in verse 19. Don't store up treasures here on earth where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust do, oh boy. Store up treasures in heaven, where moth and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. So, Jesus instructs us not to store up treasures here on earth. As Americans, this is a tough concept for us because we like to have stuff. We buy it and we tend to accumulate, and so much of our lives is built around material possessions, the stuff that we have. And Jesus said, listen, the material stuff, it's going to wear out. It's going to get rusty. It's going to break. We know that. I tried to think back about how many cell phones I've had in my life, and there's a decent amount of them. These were high-tech pieces of machinery, just really like, wow, state-of-the-art. And yet, one by one, these expensive things ended up just wearing out, getting dropped, and one took a swim in the lake. Yeah. As much as we like to get excited about things, Jesus encourages us not to store up treasures here. Because eventually, again, they're going to get ruined, lost, someone's going to take them, they even lose their appeal. Let's be honest, the things that we buy tend to end up in yard sales, donation centers, or in the trash. Even the stuff that I have that I thought, oh man, this is something that I can pass on from me to my boys. I've asked them about it, and they're like, yeah, we don't want it. Oh, okay. My feelings aren't hurt at all. Not really. It's just stuff. And so Jesus says, hey, store up treasure in heaven. Because in heaven, when you have treasure there, it's not going to wear out. It's not going to get broken. Someone's not going to steal it. So the question becomes, how do you store up treasure in heaven? You can't just grab an envelope, hey, assigned to heaven, here we go, we send it ahead. Well, we store up treasure in heaven by doing things that last. We can build relationships that last. The good things that we do will last. What we do for God lasts. So what does treasure in heaven look like? Well, think of it this way. In heaven, the relationships that we started here, that we enjoy here, continue there. That's treasure and something I know I'm looking forward to. In heaven, there could be people there because we helped them get there. We've told them about Jesus and the good news. That's treasure. The kind, generous, loving things that we did while we were here on earth will be known about in heaven, and Jesus himself will reward us for those things there. Talk about treasure. So we store up treasure by being loving and gracious. We store up treasure by helping other people know Jesus personally. We store up treasure by living our lives for God's glory. So does that mean that it's wrong to have stuff here on earth or to buy stuff? Those things aren't wrong, but there is a big difference between having those things and those things having you. It comes down to your heart, which Jesus talks about in verse 21. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. Ultimately, Jesus was concerned about treasure because he was concerned about people's heart. Jesus wants your heart. Your treasure reveals where your heart actually is. So what you love, what you're passionate about, what you treasure, what you hold dear has your heart. And what has your heart is going to guide your life. Over the years, there are a few things that I've really treasured. Growing up, I treasured baseball cards and video games, and I loved both deeply. As much as Caden likes to make fun of me for playing Pong, video games back in the day were legit. They were great. So they were very important to me. I cared about them. I spent my time playing them. My life tended to revolve around playing video games because they had my heart. Well, the thing here is that Jesus wants your heart. He isn't interested in sharing first place in your life with stuff. He wants to be number one. So one way to tell whether Jesus is number one in your life is the simple question that Jesus brings up here. Are you storing up treasure on earth or in heaven? Jesus said, don't store up stuff on earth. Does that mean we can't buy stuff? Or is it wrong to own a house or to have a bank account? Or is it wrong to collect Pokemon cards? I don't think those things are wrong. I don't think that's what Jesus was getting at here. There's a way to view money that's all about me, and there's a way to view money that it's all about God. What's the difference? Like, where's the rubber meet the road? Well, it has to do with your heart. If Jesus has your heart, then you're going to view money, spend money differently. You're going to give generously. You're going to save wisely. Even when you spend money, it's done for God's glory because you know that He was gracious enough to give you that, to supply you with that. So ultimately, if Jesus has your heart, then your money's going to follow. If Jesus has your heart, you're going to be more concerned about storing up treasure in heaven. So this has to do with your focus. Gathering stuff now is really a focus in on self. Gathering stuff later is a focus in on Jesus. Your focus shouldn't be on this life. It should be on the next one. So if you're really concerned about gathering stuff here and now, then you're missing out. Your life is going to be empty. If your focus is on Jesus and heaven, your life will be full. It comes down, again, to what has your heart. Jesus wants your heart. Does He have it? Nothing compares to Jesus. He is good and awesome and great and valuable and loving. Make Jesus number one in your life. If you do, you'll be on the path to true riches, and you'll be storing up treasures in heaven. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you for these words of Jesus. Once again, we are challenged to evaluate. God, I thank you that Jesus wants us, all of us. And I pray that we will line our lives up with how you've directed them to go. To not be so concerned and so consumed by collecting things, storing things up, and what is here on this earth, but what's going to be in the next one. So help us to be all about you and your will for your glory. In Jesus' name.